Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. In this tutorial, we are going to create some beautiful models and use them inside of a Next.js and Tailwind CSS project. So we will implement 8 different examples from simple to hard. Let's check them. Here I created it inside of this singular menu, and in this model submenu, you can see all of them. Here you can see that I have 8 different examples. For the first one, it is a simple show simple hello world model, and you can see that it is a simple example of a model. And after that, I have a show image model. You can see that we are seeing an image inside of our model to show you that how you can use an image inside of a model. And after that, we have a show video player model, and inside of that, I'm using one of my YouTube channel videos inside of it, and this is an iframe that shows it video. Let me show you.
Hello everybody.
That's it. And also it can be full screen. You can see it. That's good. So for the next example, let's see this chart model. So we are showing a chart inside of our model. So good. The next example is a money tracking model, and here you can see a chart with 2 line charts, and also we can see some useful data, for example average monthly income and average monthly expenses, and anything you want. This is just an example. That's it. And also after that, we can have a confirmation model, which is so useful, and I think you saw it on different projects. So you can dismiss, and also you can confirm. So on the confirm, you can call another confirmation function that you will see on the tutorial, and that's it. And by clicking it, you can see that the model is automatically closed. So the next example is an input form, and you can create your data with a beautiful model, and I think you see it on different projects. So this is really useful example. If you dismiss, nothing will happen. But if you click on the submit, you can see that it has validation, and it says that please fill all inputs. So if I use the name of Mohammed Tahiri and I use this email and I submit, you can see that it is a successful form submit, and on this function you can handle anything you want, and also the model would be closed. After that, I have a timer countdown model. This model has a functionality of auto closing. So you can see that without clicking on everything, it will be closed after 3 seconds, and I'm using a timer in order to show it better. I'm using the timer ID here to show you that what is happening. So when you click on it, a new timer will be created and its ID would be here, and we will close this timer after 3 seconds. So it will be closed automatically after 3 seconds. Also, if you close it by this button, it will be closed. Also, let me show you that you have 2 options to close your model. The number 1 is clicking on this, and also you can click everywhere outside of your model and it would be closed. Also, if you click inside of it, it would not be closed. This is really important, and we are using event.stop propagation that you will see on the tutorial to implement this functionality. So this is it, and let's go and use it. And for the project, you can see the completed codes inside of this repository. The link of this repository would be on the video description. So let's start and implement our coding. Well, for the project of this tutorial, I want to use this Next.js Tailwind sandbox project, which is in my GitHub. You can find the link of this repository on the video description. Let's use it. So from here, you can copy the link of it. Now let's go to our computer. And here under F, I will open a new command prompt here. And then I will type git clone this address to clone it on my system. That's good. Now let's open it on the VS Code. And this is our project. So let's open a new terminal here and type npm I. This would install the required package for us. Next, type npm run dev to open our project on localhost 4000, and click on it. We'll open it on the browser. So this is our project. We are going to use this, and here you can see that on the left side we have a sidebar, and we can choose them. And if you're asking what is the previous menus here, we have all of them in the playlist of this Next.js Tailwind sandbox, and you can find the link of the playlist on the top of the video, and also the link of the playlist would be on the video description, so you can implement all of them, each one by its video. That's good. So we want to create a new menu in the singular menu and use it as our modal page and work with it. So let's go to our code, and here first I will close the terminal. And let's go to the readme.md and show you that what we are going to do in this tutorial. So here we want to add another episode to this tutorial. So let's add another episode. This will be number 10 with name of modal. And for this modal, I want to have 8 examples. So the first example would be a component with name of C1 simple hello world modal. You can use any name you want. I'm using this C01 to show them one by one. After this, we want to create another example with name of C2 show image modal, then C03 video player modal, and then number 4 show chart modal, then number 5 money tracking modal, and then another example with confirmation modal, and another example with input for modal name, and the last example would be timer countdown modal. So this is all of what we are going to create in this tutorial. Let's start. The first thing is we need to have a menu and a page. So let's go to the components, and on the layout sections, here on the main sidebar, we have all of our menus and our submenus. So here I want to create a new submenu in the singular. For now, we have a UL for it, and we have an LI for the select box. So we can simply copy this LI and paste it here. We can use the href of /singular/modal. For the name of this link, we can use modal. That's it. Now we have a new submenu. Let's close it. And let's go create a new page for it. So in the app directory, you know that in Next.js with app directory, we want to create a new folder for each route. So we want to go /singular, this is it. After that, we want to have /modal. So let's create a new folder named modal, and inside of that, let's create a page.jsx. This would be our route, and here we need to create a component. I use RAFCE to create a new component, and let me show you that I'm using an extension named ES7+. Using this extension, you can create a new component by RAFCE. That's good. So let's rename this page to modal page. That's it, and we will export default this modal page. The name of the component here must be page, but here you can choose any name you want. And here I say modal page. Now let's check the result on the front end, and you can see that I have a new item with name of modal, and you can see that the route of it is /singular/modal. So this is our new page, and we can work on it. That's good. Let's go back to our code. Here we can implement everything we want. So the first thing is we want to have a new component for it. So let's create a reusable component for our modal and use it. I go to the components folder, and inside of that I create a new folder named modal, and inside of this I create a modal.js6. So this would be our new component. Let's use RAFCE. Let's delete this import, we don't need this. But I use client because I want to have on-click functionality, and we need to use client here to say the Next.js, and that this is a client component. So this is it. And after that, let's import an icon for our form. So this is AI outline close, and that's it. After this, let me add some comments and talk about the modal first, and then we implement our modal. The tip number 1 is we control the modal state on its parent. By state, we are talking about the open and close state. And the modal is just a wrapper component that handles the UI for us. It is in the center of the screen, and it has a semi-transparent background. And we can close this modal by clicking on the background or the close button. And we imported this AI outline close for this. After that, let me talk about the next tip. So we need to receive some props. We need an isOpen to handle show and hide of this modal, and then we need an onDismiss prop to be able to send back dismiss command to parent, and then we need a children prop to render the received children inside of our modal. That's it. So let's delete these extra spaces, and here we will receive all of them one by one. So we are going to receive an isOpen prop, then a title, and also for this title we can use a myModal default. So if you don't pass the title to this modal, the default value of it would be myModal. Then we receive the onDismiss, And then we receive the children to this model. That's good. Let's continue. So after this, the first thing is we need to check that if it is open or not. So here we can simply check it. If not is open, we can simply return null. That's it. And we will return a null. Let's format our document. So if is open is false, we can simply check it here. And if it is false, we can simply return null. This is the first one. And after that, we can return our model. So this would be the return section of our component. And for the main division, we can have some class names. And also we can have onClick. So on the onClick, we call onDismiss. So on the clicking of this main division, we call onDismiss. And we can have some class names for it. For example, a position of fixed, a width of the screen, a height of the screen, BG of black, and BG opacity of 60, and top of 0, left of 0, right of 0, bottom of 0, Z index of 50, and also use flex with justify content of center and line items of center. And onClick we simply call onDismiss. That's good. Now let's format document. So this is the container division of our model. After that, again, we can have another division. Again, we can have some class names. And also, we can have onClick. So on the onClick, I simply receive the event, and I call event.stop propagation. Why I'm using this? Because I want to stop the propagation of the click or the event bubbling to the parent, and on clicking on this form, I don't trigger the onDismiss of its parent. That's good. So also we can here have some class names like minimum width of 400 pixel, and also maximum width of full, and overflow x of hidden, and minimum height of 200 pixel, and also a BG of white color, and a rounded of x large, and also a padding of 2 I think would be good for us. And also I use flex with flex of columns, and also I use a position of relative. So inside of this main division, we can simply render our children. That's it. So let's format our document, and this would render our children. But before that, I want to have a button for closing this form. So let's use it. You can see that I imported AI outline close. So I simply use it here. That's it. And I want to have some class names for it, and also an onClick. So onClick, I simply call onDismiss. This onDismiss will come from the props. That's good. And also we want to have some class names. So let's use position of absolute, and right of 4, and top of 3, and text of 2x large, and also text of red of 600, and cursor of pointer. So this would be absolute to this, which is relative. That's it. And we are using top and right, and that's it. So let's format our document. Also, I want to have an optional title here. So let's have another division, and inside of this division, I want to have an H1, and in this H1, I will show my title. That's it. For the division, let's have some class names like width of full, and also height of 10, and flex, and items of center, and margin bottom of 1, and also I use border with border bottom of gray of 300. For this title, also I can have some class names like text of x large, and also font of bold. So that's it. Let's format our document and see it. So this is our model. We are exporting default it. Now we can pass some children onDismiss, title is open, and use this model. So let's close this model for now. Go here and create some components for it. The first thing is inside of this page, I want to delete this model page. For its main division, I want some classes to be more beautiful, like BG of white, rounded of LG, and margin X of 4, and padding of 4. That's it. And inside of it, first let's have an H1 with text of this is the model page. Let's format our document. No, it's better. And after this, let's have some BR. That's good. And now I want to have a new component to use that model. So inside of the singular modal, we have a page.jsx and we can create its component inside of its modal. Let's create a new folder, name it as components. That's it. So the first thing is we want to create, let me show you inside of readme.md. This is the first component we are going to create. So let's copy the name of it from here, go to the components folder, and here let's create it using this name.jsx. And here I use RAFCE. We don't need all of the React, we just need to have a use state. And also let's have a use client because we want to use a state here. And also let's import our modal because we want to use it. So this is, we need to import this. And after then, we need to have a state to control our modal. So let's create it, const of show modal and set show modal equals to a use state with default value of false. That's it. So we are going to use this as the state of our modal. Let's format document. That's good. After this, let's create two new functions to handle the close and the open of our modal. So I will create a new open modal handler as a new arrow function, and inside of that I simply call set show modal with value of true. That's it. And also let's simply copy paste this. After this, instead of open, I simply use the close. So const of close modal handler would be set show modal of false. That's it. Let's format our document. So we will use these two functions to control our modal. Let's continue. After this, in the return, let's delete this. So we have a division. Inside this division, I want to have a button. So let's create it. Format. That's good. So inside of this button, let's type show simple hello world modal. That's it. And we want to have some class names, and also we want to have onClick. So in the onClick, we simply call open modal handler. For the class names, we can use padding x of 4 and a padding y of 2, a bg of blue of 900, and a text of white, and also a rounded of lg. Let's format again. Well, now it's good. So we have a button, and on clicking this button, we will open our modal. After that, I want to use my modal. So after this button, I will use the modal component. Inside of this modal, we can pass the children. So for this modal, we can have some props. So let's use it. So the first prop would be is open, and for it, we can use a show modal state. That's it. After that, we can call onDismiss prop, and for it, we can pass the close modal handler. So onDismiss would call this close modal handler, and also we can have a title for it. You know that this title is optional, but we can pass it. For example, we can use simple hello world modal. That's good. Format. So this is the props of my modal, and inside of that, I can use anything I want. For example, I simply use a division to show you that how easy it can be. I simply use a margin y of 4 to have some margin, and I use an h1, and I use a paragraph. So for the h1, I can simply use a hello world. For the padding, I can use a lorem ipsum. That's it. Let's format document. You can use anything you want, and I can simply copy and paste it. That's good. Let's format our document and check the result to see what we have on our front end. But before that, we need to import this component. So let's go to the page.js6. This is the modal page that we want to show. And here, after this BR, we can simply import it, C01. You can see that it is imported automatically from ./components /C01 simple hello world modal. Let's format our document. If it isn't imported automatically, you need to import it from this address. So let's go to the front end and check the result until now. Well, I refresh my page. And after that, you can see that inside of /singular/modal, I have this button of show simple hello world modal. Let's click on it. And you can see that this is my modal. And you can see that it is getting the width of all of the page, but you can fix it on anything you want. Let me show you that. For example, on the C01 here, this is the children that we are passing to it. We can use, for example, let's say width of 600 pixel, maximum width of full. Be sure that we don't have any overflow. Let's check it again with this width. Now you can see that the width is under control of us. Now we have it, and that's it. So if we click outside of this modal, the undismissed would be triggered, and also if we click inside of it, you can see that the modal would not be closed. But if we close the modal using this button, you can see that it would be closed and undismissed would be triggered. That's good. Also, let's check the title of it. So here we are passing this title to it. If I delete this title and I don't pass anything to it, so I will comment it to show you. Well, this time you can see that the my modal is showing which is the default value. And also you can ignore this by passing an empty string. Let me show you that again. So here if you delete all of this, I cut all of them to show you that. So I'm passing an empty string as the title to it. So let's go and check it. This time, if I open the modal, you can see that we don't have any title. So we have full control over the title of our modal. That's good. Let's go back to our code and continue. So let's use Ctrl Z to return it. So I have the simple hello world modal. This was the first example of our components of modal. So let's close it. I comment it here inside of the page. I will use an X here to show that this is completed. The next example is showing image modal. In order to using this, first we need to have an image. Let's go to the public. Inside of that, I create a new folder named assets. Inside of assets, I want to create a new folder named image. And here I need to use an image. I will copy it here. So this is it, sky.jpg. You can download it from the GitHub repository or you can use any image you want. Let's click on it. So this is our image. We can use it. Now let's copy the name of this. Go to the components, or this time we are going to create a new one. So we need to go to app singular modal component. Let's create a new component here named of c2 show image modal.jsx. I use RAFCE here. So a lot of them are equal. So let's copy some of them first. Let's open C1 and close the Explorer. So the first thing is we can use these again. So let's copy them and paste them inside of the example number 2. So we want to use client, we need modal. Again, we need user state. That's good. And after that, we again need this tree. So we need this state and open modal handler and close modal. You can simply copy paste them. That's okay. So let's copy them and use them here. And also, we have this all of the division inside of the return. Because this is an educational example, I simply copy paste this and change it as what I want. If you want, you can also add anything you want to it. So first, let's format the document and then change it. So this is it. We imported the use client, we imported modal and user state, and we used the use client. Then we again use that state of show modal and this. So we have a division for the button. Again, that class name is okay, onClick is okay, but here we want to change the label. So let's use show image here. So I use show image modal for the button. That's good. Then we have a modal is open is okay and dismiss is okay. So for the title, we can use show image modal. That's good. Then again, we can have this division, and inside of that, let's delete these. Instead of them, I simply use an image. So we have an image component of next image. We can import it. For any image, let's check if it's imported or not. Yes, import image from next image. That's good. So for this image, we can have an src. So for the src, I want to use /assets, then /image, and then /sky.jpg. After src, we can have a width for it. For example, 600. And after that, we can set the height of the image, for example, 300. And also, let's have a class name of rounded LG to be more beautiful. So I use rounded of LG. Let's format the document. And because I'm using width and height this time, I don't need this. So let's delete them. And for the main division of its children, I simply use my of 4. So let's format document. That's good. Now let's use this C2 inside of the page. So we commented this component number 1. Then let's import C02 show image modal. That's good. So let's go to the front end and check it. Well, let's click on the show image modal button and check the result. Okay, you can see that we don't have any image for now. It is loading, but now you can see that it is loaded and we can see our image inside of my modal. And if I click here, nothing would happen. But if I click outside of the modal, it would be closed. And also by clicking on the close button, it would be closed. So this was the next example. Let's go and continue to our next example. Well, let's comment this again and continue. So let's go to the readme.md and check the result. So here we completed the example of show image modal, which was the second example. Let's go to the next one. The next one is a video player modal. So let's copy it and create it. So let's go up on the app, modal components, and here I create a new component named C3 video player modal.jsx, and let's use RFCE. That's good. So let's close the example 2 and copy some of the example 1 items that you know that we can use them everywhere. So let's copy these 3 lines and paste it instead of this React. So we use client and we import modal, and again we import user state. That's good. Then let's copy the state and these 2 handlers. So inside of my component, I use them. Let's format document. So we will use the show modal state again. We use open modal handler again, and we use close modal handler again. That's good. Let's close this. Also, we can copy all of this division of the return and change it as what we want. So let's paste it here. Format document. So the first thing is the button. So the class names are same, onClick is the same, but the name of it must be changed. So let's use show video player modal. That's good. After that, we have a modal is open is show modal, yeah, and dismiss is close modal handler. For the title, we can use video player modal. That's good. And again, we have a division, so let's delete the inside of it. For its content, I don't want to use this width. That's good. So I want to show an YouTube video here as an iframe. So let's go to the YouTube. So this is my YouTube channel. By the way, thank you for the 1K subscribers I received today, and I'm really excited about it. So let's go and use one of them. For example, I want to use the first video of these tutorials, and I will click here and I use the share button. So here I want to use this embed because I want its iframe. So if I click on this embed, you can see that I'm receiving the iframe of it. So let's copy this iframe and go back to our project. And here I will paste it. Let's format the document. And that's good. So I have an inside of my model, I have a division with class of margin y of 4. I have an iframe with this width and this height. They're okay. SRC is okay. Title is okay. I don't need this frame border. Allow is okay. And here you just need to change it to allow full screen like this, because inside of the React we want to use the camel case. So allow full screen is true, and this is it. So I think this is complete. Let's format document again. Also, let's go to the page. And now let's check the result in the browser. We have show video player modal. If I click on it, the modal will be open and my iframe must be imported automatically. Let's click on it to see if it's working or not.
Hello everybody, welcome to my channel.
Yeah, it's working. If I click on this full screen, yes, it is working correctly. That's good. So let's close it and open it again. Yeah, that's working. So good. So the show video player modal is working completely correct. Let's continue. Well, this was the next example. Let's comment the video player and go back to Redmi. So we completed video player. So good. The next one is show chart modal. So let's copy the name of it. Go to the components and create this name.jsx and use RFCE. So good. Let's copy some of them. I will close the example 3, and from example 1 I will copy these 3 lines. Good. And also I want this state and these 2 handlers. That's good. So format my document, and also let's use this division and use it here for my document. So this time let's copy the name first because we want to use show chart here. So for the button, class name and click are the same, but here we use show chart modal. Then we have a modal is open, and this means okay. And for the title we use show chart modal. The next thing is this division. So this time I use max width of full is okay, but I want to use, because I have a chart, I use 800 pixel for my width. And let's delete this. I don't want this P and this H1. I want to use a chart. So for this, we need to install some package. So let's open our terminal. Press Ctrl C to stop. We need to install 2 packages to use chart. So I want to use npm I. The first thing is chart.js. So we will use chart.js, and let's have an space and also type react dash chart.js dash 2. So let's wait for it to be installed. Well, it's installed. Again, let's use npm run dev, and this npm run dev would start our project on localhost 3000. That's good. So this is it. Now we can use it. And before importing them, you know that for chart we need data. I want to create a new folder for it. So let's close everything, and inside of the main folder, let's create a new folder name underline mark. And you can use any name you want. I simply use this as an standard. It means that I'm using a mock data here. So inside this, I simply create a new file with name of chart.data.js. And here, I will paste all of the data I want. You can simply copy them from the GitHub repository. So the first data is the month data, which is January, February, and the others. That's good. After them, I want to have a new array with name of incomes to show the incomes of this month on my chart. And also I can have an expenses arrays to show the expenses of this month on my chart. So let's format the document. That's it. Now we can use this data as the data of our chart. Let's close this chart data and go back to our chart model here. So in this example, we want to import, let me go show you here. So after this user state, let's import them from mock/chart data. And from here, we can import all of them. I want the months and expenses in this example, and we will use the income on the next example. Let's format the document. So after this data, we need to import something from chart.js. Let's import them one by one. So from the chart.js package, we need to import something like chart, and we use it as the chart.js. And also we need to use category scale, and we need linear scale, and we need point element, and also line element. And after that, we need to import the line from the React chart.js 2. That's it. Let's format the document. So we need to import all of these, and now we can use them. So after this, let's use chart.js.register. Let's register them one by one. First, category scale, and then linear scale, and also points element, line element. So after that, we can have some options. So let's create it. So we need to have some options, and these options would be an object, and we can have a lot of options inside of it. For example, I set the responsive to true, and then I will use the plugins, and inside of that, I pass the false to the legend. I don't want to have a legend here. And also for the scales, we can pass the X and Y options to our scales. For example, for the X, I want to work on its grid, and I want to set the display to false so I don't show them. And also for the Y, we can have a minimum of 2000 and a maximum of 4000. And also for the ticks, we can pass the step size of 500, and also we can pass a callback. So we will receive the value and we'll use the number of value divides to 1000 plus k. So this is the format of showing them. Let's format the document. So this would be our chart options. Let's minimize this and continue. After the chart options, we need to have some chart data. So let's create it. So for the chart data, again, we can have another object here. For the labels, I pass the month to it. So the month will be the labels of our chart. And also we need to specify the data sets. We can have some different data and we can use multiple data. I simply create an array, and inside of that, here I just want to have one object. So inside of this, I use the label of expense. And also for the data, I will use these expenses. We imported these expenses from that mock data. And also after that, I can use a border color with this color of red. And also I use a background color of transparent. I don't want it. And also for the point border color, I use transparent. And for the tension, I use this value. So it will be smooth. Let's format the document. That's it. So this is the chart data. Let's minimize it. So we created a chart options and also a chart data, and that's it. Now we have all of what we want. So let's go back to the model here, and here we need to create our chart. So inside of this division, let's use a line. We imported this line. Let me show you again from React chart.js 2, and this line needs to have two different props. The first one is its options. I will pass the chart options to it. And after that, it needs a data. So I will pass the chart data to it. Now let's format the document. I think everything is good. So we need to show it inside of the page. So here, let's use C number 4. Show chart modal, and it imported. That's good. Now let's format the document and check the result on the browser. Let's click on it to see the result. So show chart modal. Well, you can see that we have this beautiful modal here. You can see that we have this 2K, 3K, 4K. That's so good. If I click on this, it will be closed. And again, if I click outside of the modal, it will be closed. So we created a beautiful modal with the chart data that we wanted to show to our user. That's so good. So this was for this example. Also, let's check the console and see do we have any error or not. No, we don't have any error. That's good. This is it. So let's go and continue to the next example. Well, let's comment the example number 4. Go back to our Redmi MD. So we created the example 4. The next one is money tracking model. So let's copy the name of it. Go back here. So inside of app, singular, modal, component. Let's create a new one. Name this.jsx. Let's use RFCE. Good. No, you know that we can copy a lot of them from the previous model. So let's go and copy all of these because again, we need them. I copy all of them again. Go back to number 5 and paste them here. So we need use client, yeah, we need modal, again we need use state, but this time for the month and expenses, also we need to import incomes. And that's it. Inside of the import, you can add all of them and use them, or you can use anything you want. I want to add some of them here again, so I will use the title and also the tooltip and the legend, and you can use them or you can use any other options you want. They are all on its document. You can use it, but this is not a chart.js tutorial, so I just simply use them. So also after these, let's copy all of them and paste them here to register them. So we have line element and also title and tooltip and legend. So let's format the document. So this is it. And also we need to have the line. That's good. And then we need to register this chart.js. And also let's copy the options and the data and change them because we created them previously. So let's copy the options and the data, paste them here and work on them. So the first thing is the options. So the responsive is true. That's good. For the plugins, for the legend, you can use a true for it. And also for the scales, we have the X, and for the grid, we hide it. That's good. But this time for the minimum, I use 1000 because this time I have both incomes and expenses. For the minimum, I use 1000. For the maximum, I use 5000 this time. and the step size would be 1000. That's much more better. And again, for the callback, we can use the value and pass the number of value and divide it to 1000 and add it with a k string. That's good. So let's format the document. I think the chart options is good for now. Now let's work on the chart data. So this time for the labels, again, we use the months. That's good. For the data sets, the first thing is the expense. So let's copy this. The first one would be the income for the label, and for the data set, we can use the incomes. Again, this incomes is, and the expense and the months are coming from this mock data. That's good. So let's continue. For the label, we are having income. For the data, we are using incomes. For the border color, I simply use 047 B31. So it would be simple green. Again, the background color and point border color of transparent is good. For the tensions, let's use 5. The next one, let's format the document. The next one is the previous. We don't change it. It's good. So this is the chart, the data. This time you can see that we have two objects on this data sets. That's so good. So let's continue. The first thing is the states, the open and the close handlers. So copy all of them here inside of our component. Let's use it. Format the document. That's good. Now we can work on our model, but before that, I want to show the average monthly income and average monthly expenses of my users. So I want to have two different functions for it. So I will create a new function named of average monthly income, and this would be an arrow function. And inside this function, first we use the count, which is incomes.length. And after that, I create a new variable named total with the value of 0. And then I use an for each for the income, and for each item, I will receive the item, and for it, I simply add its item to the total. So after this, the total would be the total of my incomes data. And after that, I simply return the method round of total divides to count. So this would be the average monthly income of our user. So let's format the document. That's good. And after that, I can simply copy this. Let me show you, because it is equal. After this average monthly income, I want to have expense. So expense, this is it. So this time the count would be income dot length. I change this income to expenses. So the count would be the count of the expenses, which is 12, I think. The total would be 0 again. I use expenses that for each, I use the item, and I use this total again like the previous, and I return the math.round of total divides to count. So let's format the document. I created two new function, and I will return the average of the expenses and the incomes based on the month. That's good. Now we can continue. Let's go here, copy all of the division from here, from the example of 4, because it is the same. Let's format the document. So the first thing is our button. For this button, again, we have the class name and onClick. That's good. But here, let's copy the name of our component. So it is money tracking. Good. For the button, I use show money tracking modal. That's good. So for the modal is open and undismiss are the same. But for the title, we can change the money tracking model. That's good. Inside of that, again, we can have a division with class names of margin y of 4 and width of 800 pixel. But this time, because I have some different data, I will delete, or we can use it again. And after that, I use a flex with flex of column and a gap of 4, because I want to have some different options. So let's format the document. And this time, press enter, and here I want to have a new division. Let's format the document. So I want to have a new division, and inside this division, I want to have an H1. After this H1, I want to have an H4. So what we are going to show to the data, so for its division, we can use class names of flex with gap of 2. That's it. For its H1, I want to show average monthly incomes inside of the H4. We can simply return the average monthly income. After it, we need to invoke it using this parentheses, and I use a dollar sign, so it would be dollar. That's good. And let's have some class names. For example, for this H1, we can have the text of X large, and also for the color, I use text slate of 500. Let's use just this text of X large for the class name of H4. Format the document. So this is the first child of our container here. So we are using this to show to the data. Let's copy it and paste it again here. So again, using that classes, everything is okay, but this time it would be average monthly expense. Here we use average monthly expense. Again with this dollar, so that's good. After that, let's have another division and show this line inside of this division. Let's format the document and check it. So we have this modal, and inside this modal, again, we're using this division, and we use flex with flex column and gap of 4. So we can check it on the browser, but before that, let's show it on the page. So money tracking, that's good, and it is imported, so let's check it. So I have my show money tracking. I refresh my page to be sure that everything is loaded correctly. I click on show money tracking. Well, this is my model. You can see that I have this title of money tracking model. I have average monthly income of 3,000 at this dollar. I have average monthly expenses of $2,964. That's good. And I can see the income and expenses here. And if I hover my mouse, you can see that I can see the income, and also I can see the expense because we set the legend to the true. That's so good. So it seems that we don't have any problem. Let's open our console to see do we have any error. No, we don't have any error. That's good. So this was for this example, and you can see that our money tracking model is working correctly, and you can set any options. You can see that we have some, I don't use the title here, but you can use them, and you can use any options you want from the React chart.js tool. They show them here. Also like these, you can pass them. You can show anything you want to your user using this beautiful model. So that's it. Let's go to the next example. Well, let's comment the number 5 and go back to our readme.md. So this is completed. The next one is confirmation model. So let's copy the name of it. Let's close number 4, number 5. Number 1 is good. So let's copy this and create it. So inside of this component folder, I create this.jsx. Let's use RFCE. Well, let's copy paste. So we need these. Let's copy all of them here. And also let's copy the state and open and close handlers. That's good. And also let's delete this inside of the return and copy this division here. That's good. Now let's format the document and work on it. So this is the confirmation model. So here for the button we use show confirmation model. This for the title we use confirmation model, and here let's delete these and these. So I delete this width, I don't need them here in this example. I just use margin y of 4, flex and flex of column, and also justify of center and align items of center and gap of 8. That's good. So inside of this, let's have an H1. For it, we use are you sure? That's it. And after this, let's have another division. Let's use some class names for it, like flex and justify center, align items of center, and also gap of 4. And inside of this, I want to have 2 buttons. So let's create one of them first and then copy it. Format document. Okay. So this button would be the confirm. This button will have a class name and also an onClick. So for the onClick, we need to have an onClick handler to show the confirmation. So let's create it first. Here, for example, after this close modal handler, we can create it. So I use a const of unconfirmed modal handler, which equals to an arrow function, and inside of that, do what you wanted it to be confirmed. So I will simply show an alert with modal confirmed message, and also I set the show modal to the false. So let's format the document, and we need to use this unconfirmed modal handler inside of this onClick. We can pass some class names to this button like padding x of 4 and padding y of 2, and also bg green of 900, and also a text of white and a rounded up lg. So this would be our button. So let's format the document. The next button is like this. So I simply copy this button and paste it here. So I use a dismiss for the button label, and on click I simply call close modal handler. So I simply want to close the modal on the dismiss. That's good. And the only thing is here I can simply change this green to red, so it will be red. Let's format document. I think it is okay. Let's go and use it inside of our page. So here I use C6 confirmation modal. Now let's go and check it on the browser. Well, let's refresh the page to be sure that everything is clean. And then let's click on the show confirmation modal. So this would be a modal. Confirmation modal, are you sure? If I click on the dismiss, everything would be normal and it is dismissed. But if I click on the confirm, you can see that modal confirmed alert would be shown, and then my modal would be closed. This is the business logic you want to show the confirmation modal on a submit or on a special operation you need. So you can simply use this button, and by clicking on it, first you will open this modal, and on the confirm handler you will write down your business logic. So that's it, and let's continue and go to the next example. Well, let's comment this and go back to Redmi. This is it. So we created the confirmation modal. The next one is input form modal, and I think this is also so useful. So let's copy the name of it. Go here to this component folder and create it .jsx, and let's use RFCE. That's it. So let's close C6, copy the 3 lines of here. So use client, import modal, and import user state. We need them. Also, let's copy these. So we need to have this state, and we need to open modal handler, and also we need close modal handler. So good. Also, let's copy this division. So we will use it here on the return. That's good. So let's copy the name of our input form. For the button, we again have the class names and onClick, and here we show input form modal for this button's label, and I have a modal is open and undismissed are the same, but for the title I use input form modal. That's it. So inside of this division, first let's delete all of these and also delete these. Inside of it, I simply create a new form. That's it. So for this form, the first thing is I use a class names like flex and flex of column, and also a gap of 6. That's it. For this form, we want to handle its data by some states. So first, let's create the states to use them. Here, we can create 2 new states, and a state for the full name with the initial value of empty string. Then I use an email state with the default value of an empty string. Now we can use them. Let's go back to our form, and inside of this form, I will create a new division. For its class names, I will use flex and also flex of column, justify of center, and align items of center, and a gap of 1. And inside of that, I want to have a label. For its label, I use a full name. Then I want to have an input. For this input, I use a type of text and also a name of full name, and also a value of full name. This full name is coming from our state. After value, I want to handle its change. So I will receive the event, and I set the full name with event.target.value. And also I want to have a class name for it. For example, I can use width of full and outline of none and border of 2 and border blue of 300. And also on focus, I change my border to blue of 600. It's beautiful. Padding x of 2 padding via 1, and also rounded off LG. That's it. So let's format our document. So we created this division inside of our form. And because the structure is equal, I will copy. Let me show you. I simply copy this and paste it again after it. So again, I have another division with these values. For the label, this time I will use email. That's it. So this is for its email. Let's copy the name of it. So this input type, this time it is email, and its name would be email. Its value would be again email, and unchanged I receive the event, and I will set the email to event.target.value. Let's format the document, and the class names are same. So good. And after this, I want to have another division for my buttons, but because I used that buttons on previous example, I copy them from number 6. So let's go and copy the buttons from here. So this division, let's copy it and use it after this division. Let's format the document. So in this division, I have flex, justify of center, and items of center, and gap of 4. All of the classes are good for me. Then I have a button, and for the class names, again, I use this class name. Everything is okay. But I use a type of button because I'm on the form tag. The buttons on the default would be a submit, so I don't want these buttons to submit my form. I want to handle it with my states. So the type would be button, and on click, this time I want to have another function. So let's create it first and then use it here. So let's go, and here, after the close modal handler, let's create a new function. So I use a const of form submit handler. This would be an arrow function. And inside of that, first I will check that if the full name equals an empty string or email equals an empty string, I simply alert with please fill all inputs. This is my validation. Else, I simply alert successful form submit, and I set show modal to false. So this is it, and this is the validation. Formatting is not working now because we have error, but not problem. So you can use any validation or any business logic you want in the form submit handler, and that's it. So let's copy the name of it and use it here for the confirm. We change this to submit. Now let's format the document. That's good. So this is the first button. And after that, again, we had the dismiss button. For it, we had that classes. Everything is okay. Let's copy this type of button because we don't want this to be submitted, and on click we simply close modal, we call close modal handler, and the dismiss is good. So let's format the document. I think everything is good. We checked the title, the button, that's good. Just we need to use it inside of the page. So let's copy the name of it and use it here. This is imported automatically, that's good. So let's go to our front end and check it. Now let's click on the show input form modal. So I have dismiss and submit. So if I click on the dismiss, would be closed, and if I click on the submit, you can see that it says please fill all inputs. Why? Because I have this validation. Okay, so for the full name, I say this is Mohammed Tahiri, and for the email, I use this. And I press submit. So you can see that successful form submit is called, and if I press OK, it would be closed. So it seems that it is working correctly. So let's check it again. You can see that the data is persist because we are using a state, and when we dismiss the form, the data would be stored on the state and it would not be deleted. So let's check it again. If I delete the data from here and I submit, you can see that it says please fill all the inputs. That's good. Let's use another data again and submit. Well, successful form submit. That's so good, and it sees that our example is working correctly. Well, let's comment the example number 7. Go to Readme and check the result. Well, so far so good. The last example, it seems that it is a timer countdown modal. So let's work on it. Let's copy the name of it. Go to the components folder and create this .jsx and use rfce. By the way, you can use any name you want. I'm just using this C 1, 2, 3, 4 to show you them in order. That's good. So let's close it for now. And let's close number 7 and number 6. So let's copy paste again, and from C number 1 simple hello world modal, I copy these and use them here. And also let's copy the state and open and close handler and use them here. And let's format the document. Also, I will copy this division from here, use it here. Now let's work on it. The first thing is we need to use this timer countdown. I copy it. Inside of the button, I will show timer countdown modal. That's good. And for the modal, I use this timer countdown modal. So good. Let's delete. And this time I will use an h1. And for this h1, I use class name of text x large. And I use this modal will be closed after 3 seconds inside of this h1. After that, I want to have an h2, and again I use class names of text x large, and I will show it is just for your information. So let's format the document. I don't need this, so we can delete this width. We don't need them here. Again, format document. So this is it. It is just as simple as you can see that it is here. We just want to show this, but important thing is the functionality. So we want to have a functionality of auto closing this modal. So how we can do this? Well, we can create it so easy. Let me show you that here. We can use another state here. So I use a timer ID and set timer ID with a default value of an empty string because I want to create some timers and I want to track them. So after this open modal handler and close modal handler, we can have a use effect. So first let's import it. Import use effect. That's good. So let's create a use effect. And we say that this use effect must track the user ID. That's good. So inside this use effect, you want to control everything. So the first thing is we check that if the show modal is true, do something else, you need to do something else. So what we need to do if the show modal is true, we know that when we are opening our modal in the initial state of this component, it is false. But when we click on the open modal, this would be true and this would be triggered. So first I create a new timer ID local variable to track my timer. So I use set timeout, and for the timeout I use a callback function, and for the timing I use 3000 milliseconds. In each 3000 milliseconds I simply use set show modal to false. So after 3 seconds the modal would be false, and after this I will set this new timer ID to the timer ID state, which is here. So we are tracking it. Let's format the document. Well, this is if the show modal is true. Else, if the show modal is not true and it means that it is false, we check that if timer ID exists, it means that we have an active timer. So we can simply use clear timeout with the ID of this timer ID, and because it is stored in the state, we have access to it, so good. And after that, I set the timer ID to an empty string again. Let's run the document. So this is it. So we will, let me show you again. If the show modal is true, we will use a new timer and we will set the timer ID on the state. Else, we check that if timer ID exists, we clear the timeout of it, and also we set the timer ID to an empty string. And that's it. And also, let me show you that we can have a cleanup function for unmounting phase, because on unmounting, the timeout can have some issues for our performance. So we can simply return a function, and this function would be run and invoked on the unmounting phase. And inside of that, again, we can use this. So let's copy this quickly. And on the unmount phase, we check that if timer ID exists, we clear timeout of this timer ID, and we don't need this. So let's format the document again. And this is for our performance. So we are using this. Instead of timer ID, I think the show modal would be a better idea, because we don't want to change everything on the timer ID. We need to change it on the show modal. So for the dependency array, we use show modal. So I think everything is okay. Let's format the document and go to the page, use it. That's it. And format the document. You can see that it is imported automatically. Let's check. Well, let's click on this show timer countdown, and you can see that it would be deleted. Well, you can see that it closed automatically after 3 seconds. But in order to have better understanding of it, let's add the timer ID and see it on the front end. So let's go back to our timer. No, here you can see that we have access to the timer ID. Each time it is changing, it would be changed here with the new timer ID, so we can show it. Let's go down and see how we can do this. So here we have in the division, we have a button, then we have a modal. And after this button and before the modal, we can show it. For example, we can use an H1. We say that the timer ID equals to the timer ID. This is it. And also we can have class names of text 2x large, text of blue of, let's say 800, format document. So this is it. Let's check the result again. Well, you can see that the timer ID is here, but there is nothing. So if I click on the show timer count modal, or in order to be sure about everything, let's refresh. And now let's click on it. Well, you can see that the timer ID is 5 and it closed automatically. If I click again, it would be 6, and after 3 seconds, it would be closed automatically. And if I click, it would be 7, and it would close automatically. So good. So by clicking this, also we can close it, and it is 9, 10. Well, it seems that it is working correctly. Everything is good. Let's check the console. We don't have any errors. So good. And our tutorial is finished. But let's show all of the modals here and have them in one page. Well, I close this and go to the readme.md. Well, it seems that our example is completed and we don't have any error, so that's so good. I want just to show you that all of the modals can be shown here. So good. And also after this, I want to show you that we can divide them. So I simply use an H1 here, or instead of H1, you know what? Let's have a BR or have an HR. I think HR is better. Let's have some class names. For example, BG of sky of 400 and also height of 1, margin phi of 4 to have some space between them. And now let's copy it and use it here. Again, use it here and here and here and here and here. So let's format the document. Now you can see that I have all of them and they are separated by this HR. Let's go to the front end and check it again. So this is the simple HelloWorld modal, so good. Then we have show image modal, good. Then we have show video player modal. It is an iframe from the YouTube, so good. And then let's have show chart modal, well, not bad. Then let's show money tracking modal, so good with this data. After that, we have the confirmation modal. If I say dismiss, it will be dismissed. And if I click on the confirm, it would be confirmed, so good. And then I have the show input for, and it has dismiss. And also we can have this functionality with submit, good. And the final one is this timer countdown. It would be closed after 3 seconds, and you can see that it is closed automatically, and the ID would be shown here. And also if you click outside, it would be closed. So this was the tutorial of the modals in Next.js and Tailwind CSS. So let me know your opinions about this tutorial. Have a good time and goodbye.